Every single thing we'll try to cover that you need to know about PMP in a quick summary. We'll not go into depth, not go into details. But one thing I can tell you, every single thing that we are gonna cover in this program, if you know that by heart, you will be able to get those things done. You will be able to get PMP done in the minimum possible time. This is an extension to my mastery series, which I started to cover for you guys to understand how the context work. Okay, so yeah, let's get this thing done. I will request all of you, please turn your videos on, put yourself on mute so that you don't get disturbed by the noise. So turn your videos on. I like to see you guys, and that gives me more energy. So it will be great if you can turn your videos on, if you can put yourself on mute. Shri, good to see you. One of my student, he is certified PMP from India. He said, I want to join the session as a revision for my PMP. So I said, you are more than welcome to join it. Okay, so before, okay, somebody is saying they are unable to hear my voice. Guys, are you able to hear me? Are you able to see me? Put in the chat box. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get this thing started. You can put Toshiba in the chat box and change your name. Put your name, click right click and change your name. Otherwise, whatever the name is, I will be calling you from there. Okay, so yeah. So let's get started. Whatever the questions you may have, I'll take all the questions after the session. Right? I will be there 2 hour. I'll complete the PMP, whatever you need to know. After that, whatever the questions you may have, I will answer. I have the entire day for me. I am in US, so the day has just started. So the entire day is open for me. So whatever the questions you may have, don't worry, I'll answer it. But first thing, the first goal is to complete the PMP. To the first goal is to go through the entire thing and get covered it. I'm gonna change my mic in a minute, then I'm gonna start properly. Okay. And if you can turn your videos on, it will be great. Okay, so that I can see you. I like seeing you. Okay. So guys, I just changed my mic. If anyone has any problem listening to me, please do let that I can make sure that I okay. Yeah. Okay. Asim Saab, I'm also making you co-host if that's fine. Please, people as they are joining. Okay. Five 500 plus people have asked for the registration, but I'm so much optimistic on number of people that will join. Okay, so here we go. The most important thing to understand is what is project. What is project? Project is a temporary endeavor. What do I mean by temporary endeavor? It has a start date and it has an end date. So if something is starting, it will end. At the start of the project, you must have end date. If you don't have the end date, this means you are not working in a project. So these are the boundaries of the project: a start date and end date. That is compulsory for a project. According to PMI, the definition of project is this: it's a temporary endeavor. It's a temporary endeavor to produce some product, services, results. What do I mean by that? When you are starting the project, you must have a goal that you are going to produce some product, services, result. There must be a patent goal. Okay, that is the reason why we are starting the project in the first place. If you don't have a goal, then you cannot start a project. It must be done. And how does the goal is defined? Organizations have strategy. Organization strategies is transferred to portfolio. Portfolio make decisions. These decisions are transformed into program and projects. Program and projects produce some results, and these results, values, are realized by operation. Right? This is the sequence how the entire project management work. This framework, we called it organizational project management framework. Organizations have a strategy, portfolio drive it, right? Portfolio drive it, we can work into that way. Okay. So that's an important thing that into the entire thing. Organizational strategy to project. So you don't need to know detail of portfolio or program. Just understand program is a collection of related projects. Projects A, projects B. Is as projects are temporary, so programs are also temporary. Whereas portfolio is collection of program, sub-portfolio, projects, and operations. Operation is opposite of projects. They are permanent. Since operations are permanent, this makes project as a permanent thing, continuously, right? So the organizational strategy that we are going to cover, the you see, every organization has their own strategy, right? Every organization has their own strategy. So we look at what strategy we are going to cover. They defined it. The strategy is mostly to increase the business value. Business value consists of two things: tangible, like money; intangible, that is known. So projects are driven straightforward to increase your business value. We do projects to increase your business value. That's the purpose of that. Two plans we use for projects to increase the business value: business case, it measure directly money part; benefit to cost, intangible, like brand, it is measured by benefit plan. So these two things, tangible uh, business case and intangible benefit management, both use to identify the value, to measure it, and to look into that way. Both plans are important. Both plans are needed. Sir, make both plan. Okay. Sponsor make both of these plan: benefit management plan and business case. Some people are putting, they are unable to hear. Guys, if 100 plus people can hear and you are not able to hear, then with all due respect, leave session and join again. Your mic may have some challenge in it. So now, a very important thing, the project move in this direction. You have a need assessment, you do business documents, and then the project starts. Initiate planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing. These activities, these activities, them as pre-project activity. These are project activities and then operation. The entire thing is called as product lifecycle. This part is called project lifecycle. Two business documents that we use are business case and benefit management plan. Both of these documents are important. Both of these documents are critical to make in the project. Business case, benefit management plan, these are the pre-project activities, means things that happen before the project, right? Things that happen before the project. Okay. Then initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing. This is the entire thing where the project happen. The document, the document that actually start the project is called project chart. This is a high level document. It has all the information about scope, schedule, cost, high level quality, high level risk, key stakeholders, things of those nature. Who makes project charter? Put in the chat box. Who make project charter? Who make project charter? Project charter is made by sponsor. These three documents, business case, benefit management plan, pre-project, and project charter. All three are made by sponsor. They cannot be updated. I'll repeat, cannot be updated in the project. They are fixed document. They cannot be updated. Once you have a project charter at your hand, now you have a authority to start the work. Now you have a authority to start the work. The first thing you will do, you will make assumption log that will have list of assumptions that we are going to make. Some author called it assumption constraint log. Some author called it assumption log. So both terms are right. I have no issue in both terms. Both terms can be used. Assumption log, assumption and constraint log. It's a list of assumptions that you make at the start of the project. A very somebody muted me. Guys, don't mute me. Uh, some a very important thing. Once we make the project, you check the project. You identify who the key stakeholders are. You have a meeting with them, and then you start the process that is called making the stakeholder register. You identify stakeholder. There's a proper steps to identify stakeholder, and this is a very critical thing. You identify stakeholder. Put in the chat box what are the steps that we use to identify the stakeholder. Put in the chat box to put the steps. What are the steps that we use to identify the stakeholders? Please put in the chat box. I'll wait for 10 seconds. What are the steps that we use to identify the stakeholder? Put in the chat box. Those people who are watching at YouTube or LinkedIn, I would recommend come to a Zoom. Okay. So if we look at the steps, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Kapil. Thank you, everyone. Siva Prasad. Okay. We step number one, we go to sponsor. We ask the sponsor who the key stakeholders are. We use technique of focus group, that is asking the key stakeholders who else the stakeholders can be. We can use workshops to identify who the key stakeholders are. We can look at OPS, organizational process assets, policies, procedures, tools and template, past lesson learns. We can look at EEF. EEF, I like to use the acronym of PASTEL. Political, economical, social, technical, legal, environmental, who those stakeholders are. You identify those stakeholders. Now, the most important thing is to identify the stakeholders. Once you have identified all the stakeholders, and it's a continuous process, it happens through the project. You identify the stakeholder, you categorize them. Upward stakeholders, downward stakeholder. Upward mean who you are going to report, downward who is reporting to you, sideward stakeholder, and of course, internal, external stakeholder. So we have categorized the stakeholders into this way. Then a very important tool we use, we analyze them and prioritize them. One of the key tool that we use for this process is power interest graph. We'll see who has high power, high interest, low power, low interest, high power, low interest, low power, high interest. Those people who have high power, high interest, will manage them closely. Will manage them closely, keep them near to our heart. Those people who have high power, but they are not much interested, will keep them satisfied. Those people who have no power but they are highly interested will keep them informed. For those people who have no power, no interest, will just put them into watch list to review them after some time, right? We want to make sure we review them after certain time so that they are on track. Okay. So this power interest matrix is one of the most important tool that you will be using to understand where does your stakeholder actually lie. Okay. So you have used the power interest matrix. You can also use stakeholder cube, that is power interest and the third domain, right? Third domain can be anything. It's a 3D model, stakeholder cube, or you can use salience model, power, urgency, and legitimacy. A PMP exam is more focused on 2D models, not on 3D model. Program management exams and other things, they are more focused on these 3D models. So 2D model is more than enough. If you understand this, this will be more than enough for a PMP exam. And this is very important where each stakeholder lies, what those stakeholders are saying, how those stakeholders can imply things of those nature are critical for a PMP exam. So now we discussed it here that the project is need, this is pre-project, this is project activity. Three things happens in initiation: project charter, assumption log, and we have made the stakeholder register. That's it. Nothing else happen in initiation. Nothing else. Now we will go to the planning. Project management plan is made in here. It has 18 plans in it that we need to do. Whatever the question, guys, you have, Shurjil, I see you have some questions. We'll answer your question at the end of the sessions, right? First, I want to complete the entire PMP. This is a quick session. I want to summarize the entire PMP in next 2 hours. So we will cover into that. Okay. So now we'll make whatever your question is, put in the chat box, and those students who knows the answer, they can reply them there. So project charter, assumption log, stakeholder register, that is made in initiation. In we'll make project management plan. The first plan in planning, I will be making stakeholder engagement plan. Stakeholder engagement plan is all about the strategies that you required to engage the stakeholder. What are the strategies I'm going to use to engage the stakeholder? That is the key of the stakeholder engagement plan. Okay. The tool that is a part of the stakeholder engagement plan I'm going to use, I'm going to look what is the current stage of my stakeholder. Is he unaware? Is he resistant? Is he neutral? Is he sportive? Or is he leading? What is the current engagement level of my stakeholder? It's an important tool. Pay special attention. Currently, where does my stakeholder fall? What is his current engagement level? If he does not know me, I need to do something. I need to do something to make sure that he's engaged. If he's resistant, I need to do something. So this tool that is a part of the stakeholder plan, it will have all the important stakeholders with their current engagement and over desired engagement. And how we want to, this is D, sorry, current engagement and what do we desire? What do the project desire currently? We'll put it there and all the strategies that are required to the change the current into the desired engagement, that will become the part of stakeholder. One more time. Stakeholder engagement plan has list of strategies that will change that will change current engagement into our desired engagement. That's it. Nothing more. So once your stakeholder plan is made, okay, we'll send it to sponsor or change control board. The change control board will approve your stakeholder engagement plan, and that's it. Once the stakeholder plan is done, is approved, you cannot add anything to it, right? Initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, control, and closing. Here, the stakeholder engagement plan is made, it's approved in execution. You will implement that plan. There is no thinking about is the stakeholder right or not. Whatever the strategies you have agreed, whatever the strategies you have agreed here, you are going to implement those strategies here. That's it. Straightforward. We are going to implement those strategies in execution. In monitoring and control, the purpose of monitoring and control is very straightforward. We will do variance analysis. What do I mean by variance analysis? I'm gonna see plan, is my plan working or not working? Plan versus actual. Where does I fall? And if plan needs to be updated, I will raise change request. That change request will help to improve my plan. That change request will help to update my plan. This change request will update my plan. That is everything you need to know about the stakeholder topic. I'll repeat one more time for everybody: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, control, and closing. These are the five process group. In initiation, once the charter was made, you start identifying stakeholder. Once you identify the stakeholder, you analyze them using upward, downward, sideward. Then you prioritize them using power interest matrix. Once you prioritize them, here you make stakeholder engagement plan, which has a tool, stakeholder engagement matrix. We check the current engagement and desired engagement. You look out the engagement level of all the stakeholders. You make the strategies how we are going to engage all these stakeholders there. Then you implement those strategies there. In monitoring and control, if we need to change any stakeholder engagement strategy, we basically change those strategies and worked into it by raising change request, and we do variance analysis. Nothing in the closing domain happen for the stakeholder topic. That's all you need to know about the stakeholder topic. This way, I'll go through each domain. Now I'll go to communication, then I'll go for team. Okay. Then we will go through risk, quality, procurement. I'll see, we'll also cover agile in between. Okay. So what do you say? First, shall I cover all the predictive method and then agile? Or do you want me to, after I cover team topic, I go for agile? Put in the chat box. Now you have a chance to answer. Interpret. Put in the chat box, please. Okay. So put in the chat box, what do you think is the right answer here? Okay, actually, what is your choice? Mhm. Yeah. Traditional after agile, agile as predictive. Hmm. Okay, so majority people said that we first cover predictive. Okay, so we'll do that. But then at the end of the day, but that will have one disadvantage. At the end of the session, you will be tired. I'm not gonna tired. I I will be more energetic, right? As I get interaction from you, I love this thing what I do, right? So you will be tired, but okay. Think about it. After team topic, I will ask again. If you change your answer, I will do that. Which has more question? 50% exam is predictive, 50% is agile. Kumar, that's not a right thing to say hybrid because it is everything. Na? Hybrid is everything. So we are how many people right now? 132. Guys, do message in the groups that the class has started. Uh, Asim Saab, Obed, Farhit, maybe other people can join. Okay. First, let me complete these topics. Then I'll come back to agile. We'll see later on. So communication. Communication is one of the most important thing, the job of the project manager. He needs to understand the communication requirements of the stakeholders. What does they need? How do we communicate with them? He need to understand uh, the level of information, the language we are going to use, the confidentiality of this information. So I like to say the communication is 4R: right information, right information, at right time to right people to have right impact, right? 4 hour of communication, right information at right time to right people to have right impact. Guys, don't type on the key on it. Anyone can type it. I haven't removed the access. Otherwise, I would mute you, everyone, and I will be forced to do that. Please don't write it. So, what does that mean? What information do you need? What information you need? When do you need that information? Okay. Why do you need that information? How that information will be communicated? Where you want to store that information? What is the frequency of that information? All these things are answered in your communication management plan. What I would say, communication management plan is all about, is your communication effective or not? Somebody is unmute, please. I request you to mute yourself. And co-host, please see who is doing it and mute them. We want to share that our communication is effective or not. How much effective that is. How do I know my communication is effective? When the other person understand it. We called active listening as a way to understand that other people is understanding the information. Active listening can be paraphrasing, I understanding, repeating the last line, understanding their way, understanding the body language. There can be many ways. But the purpose of communication is to understand that people are knowing what you are trying to say. So a communication model is something like that. A sender send the information and receive the information. Then the receiver give feedback and the communication loop is completed. Okay. Anything that disrupt the information. It can be anything. Like maybe your internet is not good and you are unable to hear me. Maybe I'm speaking too fast, you are unable to understand. Maybe I'm speaking too many jargons, you are unable to understand. Whatever the way is, anything as a result of which you are unable to understand me, that is noise. That is called noise. PMI use some jargons here that a person who send the information, he encode the information, a receiver decode it, mean he try to understand it and send it back into your language. So that's how the entire information basically flow. You encode the information, you decode it, and we work into this way. This is a communication loop. Your communication can be written, formal, informal, verbal. Now it can be audio, video, it your communication management plan will define how you have to communicate, what are the ways that are most effective for your own project, how we can add the real value, how the organization can understand, okay, this is the information they need to understand in this way. So we will look into that way, how the real information is needed, written, verbal, audio. Of course your information can be push, you can pushing the communication. Push means anything that you did not want and it is being bombarded on you, like you got a call, you got an email. It's a push communication. Ads on YouTube, it's a push communication. Pull is basically when you want it yourself, you do go and make some kind of effort. That's a pull communication. That's a pull communication. Interactive consists of both form of communication. Like we are interacting with the people in the projects. What do you think, which form of the communication is used, push, pull, or interactive? Which communication is used? Put in the chat box. All no, it's all form of information is used, Asim Saab. Push, pull, all the form of information. Announcement is uh, push information. Okay, all form of communication is used. Okay. So we identify the requirement, we look into that, We understand the political awareness, like where does the power actually ride. We need to know the cultural awareness. How does the culture says? And a very important thing, is your team virtual or is your team physical? When we are trying to identify their communication requirement, we need to understand, are we physical or are we virtual? And depending upon the physical or the virtual, we will communicate accordingly. You see, virtual, like right now, we are virtual team. So it has its benefit. If I wanted to conduct this session physical in New York, right, USA, not every one of you can come. It will be a lot. Even if I conduct in Dubai, not everyone can come. Why don't you put in the chat box, where are you right now? In which city, in which country are you right now? Let's see. In which country are you right now? Put in the chat box. Qatar, UK, Lahore, India, UAE, India, Pakistan, Saudi, Oman, US, India, Pune, India, UAE, Oman, Saudi, Belgium. Okay, Belgium. Where else? Saudi, Azerbaijan, okay, Kuwait. So like, let's say 20, 30 countries are there. So virtual give us the benefit from all over the world. You can join a session. It is cost effective. It is like only 2, 3 hours we come, we learn, we go. We can get the recording of the sessions, right? All those things are available. So that is the benefit of virtual. But then there's a disadvantage. I cannot see all of your faces. I ask you to turn the videos on. I cannot see your faces. If I'm drinking tea, later on I'll have a coffee. You cannot have coffee with me. We cannot feel that those things together. So that becomes a challenge in the virtual session. In physical is considered as a very co-located people. When you come to the same location, the communication become easy, but then there are problem, culture, religious things like that, right? So all that was challenges need to be looked on. So your communication management plan need to address which type of information you have, what are their challenges, how you are going to overcome those challenges. It must address those things. Okay, it must address those things. Once your communication management plan is made, who will approve it? Same person who made the stakeholder plan approve. Sponsor change control board will approve your communication plan. Okay, so now you will implement the communication plan: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, closing. There is nothing in communication. In initiation, in planning, you will make a communication management plan. In execution, you will implement it. Monitoring and control, again, we will see, is our communication plan effective or not. If it's not effective, we'll do change request and change the plan. In closing, there is nothing there. A very important thing, this execution process, managed communication, it's considered as the post office of the project. What do I mean by the post office? All the communication in the project is done through managed communication. All the communication in the project is done to the managed communication process. Uh, we get work performance data, which is a low level information. It is it's like deliverables are what work is being done, low level information. Okay, level 0. It goes to all department, scope, schedule, cost, quality. Every department with their plan make work performance information their own. I'll explain this in another way also. Just be with me. All the work performance information goes to project manager. He combines them and make a work performance report, a comprehensive report that later will be shared to all the people according to communication plan. So consider it for work performance data. So COVID is, like, let's say you are in US, there are 50 states, 52 states. How many people have suffered from COVID? That is data. If you compare it with yesterday and make your own state report, okay, these many people are sick in our region. That is work performance information. Then that is work performance information. Then you combine the entire report and share it on the health organization. That is work performance report. So work performance report have all the information that is needed for the projects, and that is communicated to everybody, and that is shared in the managed communication process. That is shared in the managed communication process. We shared with the managed communication process so that people can understand, they can look into that, how we can get those things. So this is all about communication. We have covered stakeholder as of now. We have covered communication. Now we are going to cover team. These three topics, stakeholder, communication, team, this is 42% of your exam. Plus agile part is there, 42% of your real exam. Okay, 42% of your real exam. So let's go to the team. For team, we have a resource management plan. And when we talk about resource, there are four type of resources: manpower, machinery, money, and material. We are going to talk only manpower. Okay, only manpower. Your resource management plan is going to tell you how you are going to acquire the resources, how you are going to develop the resources, how you are going to manage the resources, acquire, develop, manage, how you are going to control the resources, and that is release. So that is the every single thing that we are going to cover in the next 10 to 15 minutes for the resource management plan. How you are going to acquire the resources. Let's dive deep into that, how you are going to acquire the resources. First thing, when we are talking about human resources, when we are talking about team members, we need to know what skills are needed for the project, right? First thing first, we need to know what skills are needed. If we don't even know what skills are needed, how I'm going to hire somebody? It makes sense or not? I need to know what skills are needed. Then once I know that, okay, these are the skills that I need for the project, once I have those skills, then I can move forward, and then I can work into other domains and look into that. So first I identify what skills are needed. Okay. And then of course, skills levels are needed. If I need a driver, do I need a truck driver, or do I need a car driver, or do I need a trailer driver or a crane driver? What skills are needed? If you need a developer, which language you need, what experts you need. You identify the skills level of the project. Once this is done, then you start hiring. Now again, we need to consider, we want to get virtual resources or physical resources. Nowadays, combination of both, hybrid resources are also used. How many of you go all the days to work? Of course, I'm not asking civil engineers. Those poor guys go daily to the work. Everyone else, how many days you go to your work, and how many days you do for work from home? Put in the site. Okay. Daily. Okay, engineers need to go daily. 3 days on site, twice a week, 3 days inside, work from home. You see, the combination is there. So hybrid structure can also work. By the way, I'm a strong favor that you should go daily to work. Right? At you should go at your site. You learn different things, right? But it depends from person to person. That's one man opinion. Okay, so we do hybrid, but the skills are needed. Again, the same thing we discuss in communication. We can consider cost, we can consider effectiveness, we can consider multiple other factors to identify, okay, what is the best practice we have here, and what do we want to do that. So we can identify and looked into that, and we can actually know that. Once you have done that, once you identify the skills you needed, we can use SWOT analysis to identify the skills even when we are interviewing the team member: strength, weaknesses, opportunity, threat. What things are needed, we can put into that. Other tools are also included, but SWOT is one thing we use. Then we'll make resource calendar and it will be continuously updated. It's a document, it can continuously update. Resource calendar, as the name indicate, it's calendar when resources will be available. It talks about dates, right? When those resources will be available. It talks about dates of the resources. Okay, these will be available at these dates, etc., etc. So when those resources will be available, we will have that. Then we can use RACI chart. RACI stands for responsible. Guys, put in the chat box responsible, accountable, consult, inform. So it will show if this is a task, who is responsible, who is accountable to do that, whom to consult, whom to inform. Somebody can be responsible for doing that. It's his job to complete it. But somebody else is accountable to and consult. Maybe you have to ask somebody, inform. So RACI chart will make, and we also have a subset of RACI that instead of going into depth of that, we just want to know who is responsible. So we'll so okay, RAM responsibility assignment matrix. This guy or this girl is responsible to handle this thing. So that's a RAM for you. Responsibility assignment matrix. RAM will make. So we have discussed so far resource management plan. We have discussed resource calendar, RAM, how these documents helpful. Now let's say the team is coming. So I'm gonna explain this using Tuckman ladder. Here dates. Today is 14. 12, 13, 14, 15, etc. Here you have productivity. Okay. On x-axis, you have productivity. Okay. So RAM only have who is responsible for the task, nothing else. And again, one more time, guys, whatever the questions you have, put it, put down all the questions on your chat on your notepad. Once the session is done, I will be there to answer all your questions. Okay. So the first step when the team comes is forming stage. Now the team is coming here. The team has the team is not clear what to do, what the goals of the project is. Project manager here need to act directive in nature. You need to direct them, give them direction. Okay, more of a autocratic nature. Here, project manager needs to make team charter. Team charter can also be called as a working agreement, social contract, different name PMI use for it. The purpose of the team charter is to identify what are the ground rules that they are going to follow, the basic rules and regulations. For example, I set the ground rules when we started the session that please mute yourself and turn your videos on. Then we set that ground rules that try to interact. We said that respect each everyone. These are the ground rules. It also define what is the vision for the project, what values we are going to have. If we want to take decision, how we are going to make decision. For example, I ask you one method. Okay, so shall I go with the agile or not? How we are going to make decision? So that is written in the team charter. If a conflict happen, how the conflict is going to handle. Initially, project manager make the team charter, but as we progress, as the team gets better and better, then the team should make the team charter because it's a team charter. It is continuously updated. So now initially it was forming stage. Now team starts to say, okay, I know better. Every team member say, I know better things how to do. So we get into a storming phase. It was forming, now it's storming. We will do coaching here. Here we will do coaching of team members, right? You see, now the conflict happens among the team members. I need to use the skills of active listening, which we just discussed. Listen to the people, what the people are saying. Try to understand the context, what things they are thinking. Try to understand them. Active listening. Plus, we need to use emotional intelligence, EQ. Now, emotional intelligence consists of five things. Put in the chat box. What are those five things that we consider in the emotional intelligence? There are five things in the emotional intelligence that we cover. What are those five things that we covered in the emotional intelligence? Put in the chat box. What are the five things we want to know in emotion? Self awareness, self management, social skills, empathy, motivation. Yeah. So five things that we need to look into that. The first one is self-awareness. When we talk about emotional intelligence, first thing is know yourself, self-awareness. Like understand yourself. What do you want? Self-awareness will be there. Second, self-management. Once you know yourself, now manage yourself. No? A very critical thing. Like manage yourself. How do you think about it? What are the way, etc., etc. Self-awareness, self-management, very important. Third skill is social skills. All the communication, influencing, decision things, they are covered under the social skills. The fourth one is empathy. Most of the time, when we talk about emotional intelligence, people consider emotional intelligence as empathy. No, 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 no. Empathy is just one part of it. Self awareness, first know yourself, manage yourself, social skills. The fifth one is motivation. Now, this is a very critical thing. I will expand on it. I want to understand what motivate other people. What are the things that motivate them? What are the things that does not motivate them? There are multiple motivational theories that we need to look into that. What motivates somebody or not. Now, if you know what motivates other person, you will be able to manage their emotion. You will be able to correspond in a better way. So, motivation. The first theory is Maslow hierarchy of need. Abraham Maslow said that unless your lower needs are not satisfied, we will not move towards the higher needs. Lower needs, food, water, shelter. Unless these needs are not satisfied, I will not go for self awareness. I will not go for other great things, right? So once my basic needs are fulfilled, then I will move for the next thing. For example, no matter how good I am teaching, how motivated you are to learn, but if you haven't eaten food for 2 to 3 days, you are not going to listen me. If you haven't had the food for last 5 years, yeah, you are not going to listen to it. You first need food, water, shelter, then you will move towards the next thing, right? So Herzberg used the Maslow theory, and he basically said, okay, that is important, but I want to simplify that. He called that Herzberg's theory has two factors. One is hygiene agent, other is motivating agent. He said that few things need to be present. If they are not present, you get demotivated. But no matter how much more you provide that, you will not get motivated. For example, food, hygiene agent, temperature, hygiene agent, cloth, internet maybe for you, salary. Like these things, there's a percentage that is must to have. If those things are not minimum present, na, I'll become demotivated. But no matter how much I increase it, you will not get motivated. I know. When I say the salary is a hygiene agent, many people disagree. But the reason is we never reach that minimum factor, right? We never reach that minimum factor. Whatever the minimum salary is a good salary in your country, right? Once you reach that, it does not matter. So it says that the things that motivate us is opportunity. The things that motivates are growth. The things that motivates are helping other. All these things basically motivate us. These are the motivating agent. That's what Herzberg said. Then Macklin gave his theory. He said people are either motivated by power, achievement, or affiliation. Some people are motivated by power, some people are motivated by achievement, some people are affiliation, or a combination of it. For example, I am more motivated by affiliation. How many people knows me? I'm motivated by achievement. For example, Vinu cleared PMP today from UAE. I will put a success story. That's my achievement. I'm happy to work with him, coach him, guide him. Right? So I put it, I have these many PMPs. We are reaching 194, whatever number is. So we are reaching there. That's achievement for me. I don't care about power. I don't. I never had. What motivates you? Put in the chat box. That's Macklin theory. Then we have McGregor theory X and Y. Theory X says that you need to continuously monitor people, otherwise they will not work. Continuously monitor people. Okay. Otherwise they will not work. Theory Y says that give them a good environment and trust them, they will work. That's theory Y. So both theory are important. Depending upon it, you need to see what works for your organization. Then we have halo effect. Halo effect is a very interesting thing. If we consider somebody is good at one thing, we will assume that he's also good at other things. That is why we give votes to athlete, or we buy things because an athlete is wearing them, right? So that's kind of a halo effect. So influencers, that we are living in the influencer market. People are using influencers to sell everything. That's a halo effect. We are basically that is considered as a halo effect. Then we have expectancy theory. Expectancy theory says that if you expect that this will add value in my life, you will work for it. If you expect that this thing will not add value in your life, you will not work for it. Expectancy theory. So, expectancy theory basically all the religions are based on it. You are sitting here with me on Sunday and trying to learn from it. You are following the expectancy theory. You believe that PMP will help you and this session will give you some value. That's why 130 people here, 30, 40 people on LinkedIn. People on LinkedIn, why don't you come to Zoom? So we can discuss those things. You believe that, right? So all in social media, 300 plus people are watching on, yeah, on Instagram alone. So why they are listening? They expect that, right? Expectancy theory is there. So now the purpose of these motivational theory is to understand what motivates each other so that we can better handle the conflict that is among team members. So when you identify the conflict, it's important to know the stages of conflict, at which level the conflict is. This can be called as stages of the conflict or level of conflict. First level, and if you can put the 5 level of conflict in the chat box, is problem to be solved. Let's say team is discussing or argue how to solve the problem. That is level 1 of conflict. I don't want to I don't want to get involved at this level. Let the team work. Let the team handle this conflict level among themselves. I don't want to get jump into that level. Let them do their things. That is level 1 of the conflict. Level 2, now instead of problem, they start having conflict with each other. This is disagreement. This is disagreement, level 2. Okay. Now I'm having a disagreement among the team members. Level 2 of conflict. Contest. Here, I don't care about the problem. Here, I say that I need to win, you need to lose. Win, lose, we cut it there. Level 4 of conflict is crusade, also known as fight or flight. Here, we get a group thinking. Here, it was individual thinking. Here, we get group thinking. You people have always done this thing. You people have always done this thing. The fifth one is World War. This is also called as not retackable solution. The solution has gone out of our way. We cannot handle this solution anymore. World War. If you are at level 5 conflict, just separate the team member. Let it cool down. Not all conflict can be handled. Separate them, let it cool down. It's kind of a situation where people are getting physical. Here, use diplomacy to break down the group thinking. The group thinking is very dangerous for the team. We don't want it. Here, we set the vision why we even started here. Here, we want to tell them it's not about you, it's about the problem. So let's solve them. So once we have de-escalated the issue, so this is the way we need to look into that. We will discuss some conflict management strategies. The thing is that you identify the conflict, you see level of the conflict, You choose which technique you are going to use. If it works, good. If it does not work, change the technique, use some other techniques. There are multiple techniques at your hand that you can do to handle these conflicts. Now, care for others. As a project manager, if I care for others, care for myself. If I care for others as well as I care for myself, I will go for a win-win situation. If I don't care for anybody, I will go for a lose-lose situation. If I care more for other and less for me, I'm willing to give up. But if I care more for myself, less for other, I will go for this. Here we have accommodate. Oh, sorry. Here we have when we want to win-win, problem solving, we want to solve the problem solving, we can collaborate, even confront. Here in this region, we are basically sitting and trying to identify the best possible solution that is best for both parties, not just for one parties, that is best for both parties, that we are trying to get a win-win situation for every single person. Here, I don't care about anyone. I'm just gonna avoid the conflict or withdraw. Very important thing. I'm not even discussing the conflict. Maybe just passively documenting the conflict. Nothing more. Not discussing the conflict, just documenting the conflict. Right? That's a avoid or withdraw. Here, I accommodate them. Okay, okay, I'm willing to go for it. We especially do for when we care a lot for the other people, we accommodate them. Or sometime we are busy at something else, we'll say, let's smooth this thing. Let's discuss this issue to a better time, later on. Here I'm gonna say my way or highway, force or direct. We also have a in-between technique, compromise. Compromise is more of a lose-lose situation in which both parties have to give up something. It's more of a lose-lose situation. Okay, but it's better than avoid and withdraw. As a project manager, as a project manager, you need to basically move from here. Okay, yeah, I don't want it. As a project manager, you need to basically move from compromise and get it done in the proper way. Okay, sorry for that. Here, avoid, withdraw, and move from here. Right? Get the best situation. Whatever the techniques you use, it all comes down to, are you able to solve the conflict or not? If you are able to solve the conflict, you move to the next stage, and that is norming. In the norming stage, now we understand the habits of each other, why they do that, and team is starting to look like a team, not well solution. So here he need to support them, mentor them, listen to them, understand them. Okay. And finally, if everything goes according to the plan, we reach the performing stage. We reach the performing stage here. What are you doing, man? Here, this is delegation. Here you will delegate it. Forming, storming, norming, performing. And finally, when the team is done, we leave the team. So this is what you need to know about the entire team topic, right? Important thing that you need to understand when you are solving PMP question, that very critical part is you need to act like a servant leader. Servant leader is somebody who's like a mother or father. Servant leader is somebody who listen to other. Servant leader is somebody who will understand how the things are working. Why don't you define what servant leader is? Put in the chat box. What do you think who servant leader is? Put in the chat box. Okay. I launched a poll. So whatever you decide, we will do that. You have a 1 minute to decide. The poll is open. You want to do predictive or agile. Whatever the poll result is say. As a servant leader, my job is to basically help facilitate the people understand this thing. So if you say agile, then this means after this, I'm gonna go agile. If you say predictive, I'll go risk, quality, procurement, scope, schedule, cost, and then come back to agile. Last 25 seconds available on back as a shared. Okay. Rich, join Zoom, brother. Last 3 seconds. If you have not vote, please vote. Okay. So the results are in front of you. So we'll go with the agile since majority of the people have studied agile, 61 to 39. So we'll go for agile. So far we have covered stakeholder communication, uh, team. One of the most important thing to understand that exam, 80% of exam consists of four topic: stakeholder communication, team, and agile. We'll cover the agile, but we'll take 5 minutes break. In the 5 minutes, for the 5 minutes break, we'll cover every single thing that you need to understand. Uh, After 5 minutes break, we'll go to the agile. I'll try to cover every single thing that you need to know about PMP, right? It's not just few things, but we'll cover every single thing that you need to know about agile. And let me put it this way: if you can cover stakeholder communication, team, agile, there's a high probability that you can clear PMP exam with a high score. Work into it, get into the best details, but this is something that I'm really interested in. But before we go to 5 minute break, I just want to invite you and ask all of you that my batch program is going to start on this Friday. The batch program is going to start on this Friday. If any of you want to join the program and want to become certified PMP, I'm gonna put the link in the chat box. You can join here. And I'm also for those people who wants to join it on they are watching on LinkedIn everywhere else. I'm also gonna put link there. So just to give you the context, today we are going to the entire summary in the batch program in 6 days class. All these topic we are going to go deep. Every single topic we will work into that. Where can we know about your PGMP program? Kumar, if you don't have my number, this is my number. Okay, we can talk about it later on. PGMP program also starts actually this Friday. So if you want to join, we can have a discussion. So in the 6 days program for the batch, we will have 6 classes, right? Okay. Mhm. Yes, please message everyone that the class has started, that they can join. Okay, so now we are going to discuss agile. One of the important thing I want to share about the agile is that when I discuss agile, we need to understand every single thing we cover in the agile. Now, it goes multiple things, but the most important thing is 4 values of agile and 12 principles of agile, right? Uh, 12 principle of agile. But while we are discussing, I want to share one thing with every one of you. Asam, I can see you from batch two. Who else is here from batch two? Batch two, batch three. I want to share you something. Your batchmate just cleared the exam. Lindsay is certified PMP. Lindsay is certified PMP. So congratulations. Now everybody knows in less than 1 month. Asam sir, I hope this motivates you. Now study more. Ubaid, guys, your batchmate did it in less than a month. Today, 2 PMPs. One Vinu, my one-to-one student, and Lindsay, she cleared from Canada, so less than 4 weeks, right? So all those people who have says excuse and things like that, I can I can tell her story in detail, but I will record her journey later on, and you will get it. So this can be your time, okay? Your batchmate, if Asamsa, your batchmate is clearing, you should also, sir. Okay. Okay. So let's get back to the agile. We'll get back to the agile. So when we talk about agile, we need to understand agile consists of two things. Actually, let's discuss all four life cycles. All four life cycle are classified on two things. One, is your scope fixed or is your scope variable? Is your is your delivery single go or is your delivery multiple go? How we are going to have the delivery for the project. Okay. So if I divide it into this, when you have a fixed scope and you want single delivery, predictive project. That predictive project. Example, bridge. I don't want bridge into parts. I want the entire bridge in one go. Right? If you want to have a fixed scope, but only multiples, we have an incremental delivery for it. Incremental delivery for it. And we have an example with the incremental delivery. We have an example of movie series, e-series, movies, and all e-learnings. All these are examples of incremental delivery, right? We have incremental delivery. When your scope can change, but we want delivery in one go, this is iterative life cycle. Prototypes are made in that way. Prototypes are made in that way, iterative life cycle. When anything can change and and you want delivery in parts, we use agile life cycles. Agile life cycle. Example is software. So yesterday I bought two new iPhones because I have to call it like small one. I already had the 15 Pro Max. I opened the iPhone, and as soon as I opened the iPhone, it immediately said to me, uh, it immediately said to me, please update the system. So it's continuously being updated. And I'm same thing happened to your phone or whatever you do. So agile is incremental delivery as well as things can change. But this is not the end of story. We are also have the combination of agile and predictive. That is called a hybrid. And all the projects in the world, in one way or another, they are basically hybrid in nature. We make the hybrid project. We looked into that, what those projects are, and we worked into that way. These, since this is a fixed thing, we called it as traditional waterfall or plan driven. Since here something is changing, we called it change driven, adaptive, change driven, adaptive, and what else the name? So far, change driven, adaptive, and this is plan driven, waterfall, traditional. Okay. Now let's go to the major thing about AHI. Okay. So scope can be fixed, scope can be variable. Delivery as a single go delivery, as a multiple deliveries. That was x-axis and that was y-axis for which I divided that entire life cycle in your project. Agile is more of a mindset, and the agile mindset is basically based on four values of. If you know those four values, please put in the chat box. Agile is based on four values of Agile. The Agile values are basically we want to give value to the customer. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. This value says that contract is important. We are not saying that contract not important. Contracts are important, but collaborating with the customer, working with the customer is more important as compared to uh, contract. respond to a change over following a plan. So one of the critical concept of agile is minimum viable product. We make something for the customer, we show the customer, and we want to give value in the market in the minimum possible time. So in order to make minimum viable product, so sometimes things has to be changed. So we respond to a change. Instead of following the plan, we go for the plan for whatever they are asking, right? Third value is working software over comprehensive documentation. So here, this again goes the concept of minimum viable product. Whatever works, give it to the customer. Give it to the customer. That is most important thing. We need to provide that thing to the customer. Fourth value says that individual and over processes and tool. This is all about team. This concept goes about team. You see, in Agile, we say that we want T-type leader. Leader are those people, they have in-depth knowledge of one domain, in-depth knowledge of one domain, and they also have the knowledge of. So this is used in order to avoid single point of failure, right? In order to avoid single point of failure, we use type leaders. We basically give value to the customer. We give value to the customer. We give value to the team. We select those people who are motivated, and we want to make sure they make their own decision. They make their own individual and interaction over processes and tool. These are the four values of these four values with the 12 principles. You don't need to remember 12 principles. Just understand the principle in this, that you want incremental delivery. We continuously focus on the quality. We do Pareto, which is 20-80 principle. We look at what are the most important thing, prioritize them. We use Pareto. We look at, okay, these are the important thing. We worked with them, right? We continuously, and we have retrospective to continuously get ourselves better. These are some of the principles. You need to. Four values is actually the only thing in agile or in the entire PMP. I'll ask you to remember that you need to know four values. Once you know the four principle is the next step. Now we have multiple agile methodologies: Scrum, Kanban, XP, feature driven development, Lean. Nine is 60 to 70% questions related to four values and 12 principles. 60 to 70% question. But understanding Scrum can help you if any other questions come. So Scrum is kind of a project management framework. It has three roles. Okay. Product owner, he's the voice of, he's the part of your team, but he's the voice of customer. Scrum master, your agile project manager, your servant leader. And then team, your T-type leaders, they decide that. So what is valuable right now? Value mean what, which thing you should be working. Product owner defines that. How much time it will take to complete that thing means effort, which is also called as story point in Agile. Team will tell how much story point or how much effort it will take. And Scrum Master is a grease that works in between both things. Product owner, team, if there's a conflict, he makes sure that Scrum methodologies are being properly followed. Right? Product owner, Scrum Master, team, these are the people that will be working along the entire way. So what happens? Let me tell you the entire story. Product owner, he goes to master, he goes to sponsor and all the key stakeholder, customer, and collect user stories. User stories are nothing but requirements in Agile. He collect requirements from them and put all the requirements in a document that is called product backlog. That document is called product backlog. Once he have collected all the requirement with the team, he goes back and asks them, can you prioritize them? The sponsor using Moscow technique. What are the most important should, could, would likely to have, or 100 points, or even Pareto, whatever you use, your choice. Just prioritize what is the most valuable requirement for you. And then team look at the same user stories and they see which risky user stories. So we get user stories by high value, high risk, high value, medium risk, high value, low risk, medium value, high risk, and value is the most important thing, and then we get it. So this is called your list of all the requirement prioritized by value and risk. Value and risk. Once your product backlog is ready, the team does sprint zero. In sprint is basically in Agile, we call it sprint has a duration of 1 to 4 weeks. What is the duration of sprint? Put in the chat box. What is the duration of sprint? Sprint duration is 1 to 4 weeks. Normally it is more of a normally screen duration is my screen is not visible. Okay, on LinkedIn. Sorry for that. LinkedIn people, I'll make the screen visible now. Okay. So 1 to 4 weeks in Scrum. Okay. So we do sprint zero in Scrum, right? Sprint is 1 to 4 week duration in sprint zero. We basically do two things. One, we do architectural spike. We do architectural spike where basically we do proof of concept. Is it even possible to complete that thing or not? Is it even possible to complete that thing or not? That is architectural spike. Secondly, we'll do risk spike. We will do risk spike. Okay. A proof of concept, is it possible or not? And secondly, we do risk spike. Like we'll check each user story what their risks are. So now we know that this product is possible and we have looked at that. Team will have a meeting, the first sprint planning meeting. Let's say the first sprint is there. We'll have a first sprint planning meeting. We'll decide the length of the sprint. Let's say the length of a sprint is decided 2 weeks. The entire project is divided into two weeks. And let's say you decide release consists of 4 months, 3 months, whatever you decided. So you get release and sprint there. The first meeting will be sprint planning meeting. Here, the team will look at the product backlog and they will make sprint backlog, the subset of product backlog. And we will see, depending upon how much work the team says we can do this much work, the amount of the amount of work team can do in one sprint, or amount of work, the number of story points in one sprint is called velocity of the sprint. It's called velocity of the sprint. Okay. The questions you have, I see some questions are in the chat box. Please write down your question answers and we will do the session. All the question I will answer you later. Okay. So we have sprint backlog. That is a prioritized work we are going to do in this part and sprint. The work we are going to do in this sprint, it's sprint backlog. We will we get sprint goal. Now we start working on the sprint goal. Please somebody mute yourself, guys, kindly. So I'm also making you co-host. Okay. So we have a sprint goal. In sprint planning, from product backlog, we make a sprint goal. Sprint goal, we know the velocity, we made the estimated velocity, how much we do in one sprint, and now we start doing the work. We decided sprint is 2 weeks. We will have daily stand-up. We will discuss 3 questions. What will be the 3 questions? It will be 15-minute, same time, same location. Put the question in the chat box, guys. The 3 questions will be what you have done, what you are going to do today Is there any impediment, roadblocks, things like that? Information radiators. We will use information radiator to basically discuss the information in the agile, right? Information radiator. Once 2 weeks are completed, we will have sprint review. In sprint review, we'll show to the customer whatever we have completed. Please understand, in agile, well, what is 100% completed? Nothing less. If something is 100% completed, we will show to the client. Okay. If client accept it, it goes into product increment. So this is the third document or artifact we discussed. First, we discussed product backlog, sprint backlog, now product. Whatever is accepted, it goes into product increment. Whatever is rejected, it goes back into product backlog. Rejected, it goes back to sprint review. Consists of two parts actually. This is the demos part. The second part is grooming. Here, since client is there, add more user story and we will reprioritize the product backlog. Reprioritize the product backlog for the next sprint. That is called grooming of the product backlog. Grooming of the product backlog. Once your sprint review is done, we will do sprint retrospective, which is a lesson learned meeting. Try to identify the lessons that can be used for the next step. It is 5 steps. Set the stage, gather data, generate insight, decide what to do, and close. Set the stage, gather data, generate insight, decide what to do, close the retrospective. Close the retrospective. So this is basically 5 steps that we do in the entire sprint. We'll keep doing it, right? Once the entire sprint is completed, all the sprints are completed. At the end of the sprint, you see, we have sprint 0. At the end, we will have sprint H, hardening sprint, in which we will finally check before giving the entire product to the client. We will final check and give it to the client. Hardening sprint. That's the entire scrum for you. 3 documents you must know. Sprint 1 to 4, sprint planning, daily stand up, review, retrospective. You must know. You must know Scrum Master and team. What are their roles? What are their responsibility? Product owner decides the value. Team does the work. Then next thing is basically what is velocity? What is user story? Story point. When does the sprint end? When the works get completed, then the sprint is over. How do we know that something is 100% completed? Team has a checklist that is called definition of done. Team compare with that checklist to the and make sure that this is completed, then they show it to the client. How does client have a checklist that is called acceptance criteria, and we looked into that. This is entire scrum for you. We have information radiators, which I'll cover into it. So we have 4 or 5 information radiator, which we want to work into that. We need to know for this thing. The first one is burn down chart, and I would the class please make burn up, burn down chart, Kanban task board at least one time with your hand. It's important. This is burn down chart. It's an information radiator that basically measure how much work is at any time. Here you put days. Here it is, story points. You measure how much work is remaining. How much work is remaining. That basically is done by a burn down chart. If you want to see how much work is done, we go with the burn up chart. we go with the burn up chart. Burn up chart, burn down chart. We use this burn up, burn down charts for same. Both are useful. We use both of them in our project whenever we want to work into that. Burn up chart, burn down chart. Then we have task board. Task board show you status, to do, in progress, completed. This is kind of a thing that is used all over the world. All over the world. We just want to show the status of the work. Task board. Task board. We have a special type of task board that is called Kanban board. Kanban board is particularly useful, particularly used when we want to look into that, when we want to see how, like, what is a bottleneck. Write it down for you. What is the, if we want to look, what is the bottleneck in our project, we use Kanban board. What is the bottleneck in our projects when we want Kanban board? Okay. So Kanban board, to do, in progress, testing, completed. So we put work in progress limit in here. How much work we can do? Okay, let's say to do, identify where do we have bottleneck here. Put in the, you can get such type of question in your exam. Where is the bottleneck? Put in the chat box. Where is the bottleneck and why? Where is the bottleneck and why? Testing has bottleneck. Testing has bottleneck because only three can be allowed and only three are here. We cannot have more work here. In progress, we can add one more. Here, we can add uh, testing and completing. Both are bottleneck. Okay. Here, there can be something. Okay. This is also bottleneck. I put a special question. This is not the bottleneck. All three are right. Normally, you will get question where one is bottleneck. Here, I give you three bottleneck. One is not a bottleneck. One more time. One more question. Now I'll just put one bottleneck. Get confused. Mhm. Okay. Sorry about my drawing. To do, in progress, testing completed. Here the bottom. Here it is 8. Here it is 3. Here it is 2. Now what? Which is the bottleneck? Where is the bottleneck? Okay. Thank you very much. So this is Kanban board. Lean also uses Kanban board to define value stream map as well as lead time and cycle. Lead time is time it was requested till time it got completed. This is called lead time. Time it was requested till the time it got completed is called lead time. Cycle time was time you started working. That is cycle time. Some organization measure lead time, like when you requested and when it got completed. Like Amazon. Amazon basically, I'm reading Amazon's article nowadays. It measures lead time when a customer requested and when it. McDonald's measure both lead time and cycle time, and both are important. Yes, Kanban is just in time. Yes, 100%. So this everything you need to know about Agile. The PMP. Okay, so we have covered stakeholder communication, team, Agile. This is 80% of real exam. If you understand what I've just said, and if you can implement the knowledge that you have learned from here, that is more than enough for your exam. 80% of the real exam, guys. 80% of the real exam. Okay, so let's go to the next topic. Now, what we will do, now we will cover scope, schedule, cost, how three baselines are made, right? How those things are done. I guess session will go up to 3 hours. Are you okay with that? No? I booked 2 hours. Uh, are you okay with that? No? Yeah, Ilshad, there will be formulas for that. I booked 2 hours. I'm doing this session after a long time. I used to do it every month. So I overestimated how quickly I can do because I wanted to touch the concepts. I wanted to make sure. I know some of you will still be thinking I'm moving very fast, but this is the entire. So it has to be somehow. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about scope, schedule, cost. Then we will go with the risk, quality, and procurement. Oh, you see, need assessment, business document, initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, control, closing. This is your project. Okay. This is operation. I will try to collect the requirement of the product. The requirements of the product. I will automatically have the requirements of the you automatically have the requirements for the project. In order to collect the product requirement, I have requirement management plan. I have requirement management plan that will tell me how to collect the requirement. What are the techniques that we use for stakeholders? Like we went to the sponsor, we did focus group, we did workshops, all those techniques that I use to identify to identify what are the key requirements. Once you have identified all the, you will put all the requirements into requirement traceability matrix. Requirement is a matrix that has all the requirement, who gave it, what is the purpose, the link of the requirement, things of those nature. Till end, it will have the link of all the requirements. And have every single, just like requirement traceability matrix, we will also have another document, requirement documentation. Requirement documentation will basically classify the requirement, which are known for stakeholder requirement, solution requirement, and things of those nature. We will classify all the requirements in the requirement. Requirement traceability has requirement traceability has every single thing of that. Okay. Guys, my voice is breaking. Somebody is saying requirement traceability has everything, requirement documentation, classifications of the requirements, classification of the scope management plan. What I will do, I will put the filter, what is in the scope and what is out of the scope. Okay. Scope management plan. I'll put what is in the scope and what is out the scope. Okay. So we get project scope statement here. Okay. Percent hygiene factor. Okay. So what we have done, we have put the scope filter here, the scope management plan, right? We put the scope filter here. Now, what is in the scope will be defined by this thing. If something is not in the scope, It is not in the scope. Either you are in the scope or it is outside the scope. So now, once we have project scope statement, we will make WBS. WBS is work breakdown structure. How you basically divide the entire work into smaller, manageable parts, right? That is WBS. Now, this high level part of the WBS is called control account. This smallest part is called a work package. In between, we can have planning package. Let's number this WBS. When we number this WBS, when we number this WBS, these numbers are called code of account. These numbers are called code of account, right? These numbers are called code of account. The smallest part is called work package. This is planning package and this control account. In order to understand control code of account, we have WBS dictionary. The combination of project scope statement plus WBS plus WBS dictionary is called what? Put in the chat box. I want it from everybody. What do we call it? Somebody please mute yourself. Please put, please kindly mute yourself. G. This is called scope baseline. This is called scope baseline. This is called scope baseline. Now the scope is baseline. This is the scope of your project. If you want to complete anything in the project, it must be there. If it's not there, it's not there. You get the scope baseline. Now you will start working into that. Please note, you cannot anything, you cannot add anything in the scope baseline without going through proper change control procedure. You need to raise a change request to add anything into that. Once we have a scope baseline over or at hand, we will go to schedule. We have a schedule management plan. We have a schedule management plan that will define how you are going to divide the work package further into activity list, activity attributes, and milestone list. You have activities, activity A, B. We will see what are the relationship between them, finish to start, start to start, start to finish, finish to finish. Plus, we will also look what are the relationship that we have here. Okay. Dependencies. Is the dependency mandatory or is it discretionary dependencies? Preferred practices. We looked into that. Yes, of course, the project scope statement needs to get approved. Looked into that, sir. It needs approval. So we know what are the relationship between the activities. We know what are the dependencies, internal, external dependencies, mandatory dependency, discretionary dependencies. We know that. Now, we'll calculate the duration of each activity. We have analogous estimate that is 100% based in the past. Then we have parametric estimation that is the multiple, statistical multiple of the past. We have bottom up estimation. When you add all them, you get the duration most accurate. And then we have 3-point estimation. 3-point estimation consists of two types: triangular distribution or beta distribution. That is called PERT. Optimistic, 4 most likely, pessimistic, divided by 6. If in the exam it is not mentioned which one to use, you will always use PERT, right? You will always use PERT. So we have two estimation. Now we know each thing about the activities. We will use network diagram and calculate the duration of the activities. Start, A, B, C, D, E, end. Let's say the duration is 4, 8, 2, 1, 3. So 4, 8, 12, 1, 13, 16, and the low one 6, 10, A, B, D, E. This A, C, D, E is 10. So the longest path is called critical path. The longest path in the project is called critical path. This is the duration of the real project. This is the duration of your project. Whatever the duration is, this becomes the real duration of your project. Now, the difference between critical path and non-critical path is called float. In exam, you are not going to get a question to calculate critical path. You just need to know what critical path is and how to calculate. That is more than enough. So we get a critical path here. Now, as soon as you have a critical path, you may have to decrease your schedule. In order to decrease the schedule, we have schedule compression techniques, crashing, and fast tracking. We have crashing and fast tracking. Crashing is basically you add resources. Fast tracking is basically you make activities parallel. In crashing, when you add resources, your cost can go up. Here, basically rework and risk increases. If money is not a problem, crashing is preferred. If money is not the problem, we prefer crashing over fast tracking. Okay. Then if the resources are critical and we want to resource optimization technique, we have leveling where we change the schedule. Schedule can get changed, but we change the schedule according to the availability of resources. All resources are optimized. Here, smoothing, we say that we are not going to change the schedule baseline, but we try to handle the resources by crashing or fast tracking, but we don't change the baseline. This is what you need to know about scheduling. We have scope baseline, we have schedule baseline. Now we need cost baseline. For cost baseline, we'll go with the cost management plan. We'll go with the cost management plan. We have a cost management plan that will defines how the financing of the organization will be, how you are going to look at the funding limit reconciliation, like what are your milestones when you check the budget and then release the budget. We will look into that. We will look at the past history, and since we already have those estimation technique, we will calculate the cost of each activity. So cost of activity plus money spent to avoid identify risk, contingency reserves. Contingency reserves, we'll just discuss the risk top in a while. Money you set aside to handle identify risk, contingency reserves. This is called cost baseline. This is your cost baseline. Money set aside to handle identify risk, cost baseline. Once you have that, we want to know what is the project budget. Project budget is basically your cost baseline plus management reserve. Management reserve is a cost of unidentified risk. Management set it aside. We don't know. We don't know how much the money is there, right? We don't know how much the money is. That is your project budget. So now we have three baseline: scope, schedule, cost baseline. These three baseline combined are called as performance measurement baseline. Combined, they are called as performance measurement baseline. Okay. If we want to measure them, where do we stand cost wise or schedule wise? We do earned value analysis. Let's say we put dates here, here dollars. The work planned till today is called plan value. The real work you did is called earned value. The money you have spent is called actual cost. If you want to measure schedule, we have earned value minus planned value. We can also use earned value divided by planned value. Greater than 1 means the positive, or greater than 1 is a good thing, less than 1 is a bad thing, and equal to is okay. Similarly, for cost variance is earned value minus actual cost. Cost performance index, earned value divided by, yeah, actual cost. Same thing, greater than 1 is a good thing, less than 1 is a bad thing. Negative should not be there. Now, you see, this is the money you have set aside. This is your complete budget. If you want to calculate how much more money you need, we have estimate at completion. The formula for estimate at completion is budget at completion divided by CPR. These are the formulas you need to know about the exam. So now we made scope baseline, we made schedule baseline, we made cost baseline. We have already discussed stakeholder, communication, team, agile. Now we are going to discuss three topics: risk, quality, and procurement. Okay, risk, quality, and procurement. I'm going to start with the procurement, right? Then quality, and in the end, we will discuss risk. Procurement. So plan, manage. First, we plan procurement, then conduct procurement, and finally control procurement. In plan, the first step is we need to do make or buy analysis. Why do we even need that? Why do we even need that button thing? What is the purpose of that? We do the make or buy analysis. That is step one. Why do we even need that? Make or buy analysis. Step one, right? Make or buy analysis. Then we decide source selection criteria. From which source we want, what is our selection criteria, what is the purpose of that, why we want to go to a pattern sources and not the other sources. We make source selection criteria. Once we have decided, okay, this will be the source, then we see, is our scope fixed? If our scope is fixed, we have three contract: firm fixed price, where everything is fixed, the risk is on seller; fixed price incentive fee. Here we say scope is fixed, but we say seller, if you can give early, we'll make payment to you. Or the contract that is used for long term, economic price adjustment. Fixed price, economic price adjustment, that is used for multi years contract. In all these three, scope is fixed. Here everything is fixed. Here we give them some incentive. This is used with the dollar inflation, things like that. If your scope is variable, then we use cost plus fixed fee. Like whatever cost is, you will pay him fixed fee plus the reimburse, will reimburse the cost of the material. We also have cost plus incentive fee and cost plus award fee. Incentive is written in the contract. If it is written, they have to do it, and if they don't do, it can suffer both way. Like if it is written they will do, we'll pay them extra fees. If we don't do, it is challengeable in the court. Award fee is more like a tip. It's more like a tip. If you don't do, there is no problem into that. Then we have a subscription model, time and material contract. Time and material contract is pay as you use, right? It is used all over the world. Prepaid SIMs, subscription model, Netflix, renting a movie, renting a car. It's a time and material contract. These are type of the contract. We choose what do we need, how much we need, when do we need. Once we have all these things, right? Once we have all these things, we will go to the procurement statement of work. We'll write down a procurement statement of work. Procurement statement of work will have every single thing that you need in the project. How much we need, when do we need, what are the details, etc., etc., etc. Every single thing will be the part of a procurement statement of work. Once you have written it, you have made the procurement plan and strategy. You will advertise this. You will advertise this. Those people who are qualified seller in execution, you will have a bidder conference with them. Bidder conference is that you sit aside, you explain the requirement, you answer their questions. If there is a problem, you discuss with them. Then, once the shortlist is sellers, you look at the proposals and you start having negotiation. Please note, project manager is the part of negotiation, but he does not discuss anything regarding money because there can be bribe or things like that. But he is there to discuss scope, schedule, cost, quality. Once negotiation is done, you get contract. The contract can be two types. First, letter of intent, while the real contract is being formed, high level contract in the form of emails, things like that. Then you have final contract. Before the contract is written, everything that happen in the project is according to the procurement statement of work. Now everything happens according to the contract. In the monitoring and control part, if it is written in the contract that you can do audit, if it is written in the procurement that you can do audit, we will be we will do their audit. If we cannot, if it is written that we cannot do audit, we cannot do the audit. Understand that audit is basically checking the effectiveness of the process. Audit is checking the effectiveness of the process, how effective our processes are. That is basically audit. Okay. So I cannot go, I have like 5 to 6 phone of Apple, but I cannot go and check Apple. I cannot because it's not the part of my contract. What can be done is inspection. Okay. I have like for this one, 15 Pro Max, I have a 2 years Apple Care. I have bought that warranty, so I can, if any problem occur, I can go to Apple, right? If a problem occur, step one, step one is to sit with them, talk to them, and get a win-win situation. Sit at a table, try to get a win-win situation. If we are unable to get, try to do what is written in the contract. If contracts are also silent, that now maybe you get a arbitrator, mediator. If still that thing is not done, now we go to court. Going to the court is the last step, and we don't want to do that. It costs money, time to every single person. We don't want to do that. Please note, procurement are closed throughout the project. Throughout the project, not in the closing. In monitoring and control, they are closed. In, in closing, we will final check the procurements have been closed or not, but they are closed throughout the project. This is your procurement. Very simple, straightforward topic. Just understanding the contract can help, can be a little bit here or there, but that is that about the procurement. Not a very difficult topic to understand, but understanding and knowing this topic can help you to help in different areas. Okay. Now we will cover quality. We'll take a break after it. Okay, after quality for the risk, we'll take the break. Okay. Quality. Just like procurement, kind of a straightforward topic, but there are some quality tools that we need to know. So quality, plan quality, manage quality. In execution, it is also called as quality assurance, control quality. What happens in plan quality? We make quality management plan. Quality management plan. Quality management plan basically talks about which standards we are going to follow. What quality standards are there that we are going to follow, that are the important standards and things of those nature. We will also document the cost of quality here. Cost of conformance, money spent to avoid failures. Cost of non-conformance, money spent because of failures, warranty costs, reworks, things of those nature. We'll also make quality metrics, the KPI metrics, which will measure your SPI, schedule performance index, your cost performance index, how many changes have been there, what is the percentage that is acceptable by the client. So we'll make the quality management plan. Once the quality management plan is done, in manage quality, we will do the audit of the process. We'll check, are we following the quality process or not. We'll use check sheets, of course, to see the sequence of process is being followed or not. Check sheets, checklist will be used. We'll use control chart to see whether the process is within the control limit or it goes out of the control limit. If any point goes out of the control limit, we need to investigate it using fishbone diagram, root cause analysis, cause and effect. Why? Like why this problem went out of the way. If anything goes out of the way, we need to investigate it using fishbone diagram into that way. One of the way while you are working, uh, we also do sampling. Sampling is basically we go and check the process. Does does it uh, value according to our quality process or not? Right? In manage quality, we make sure we are following the right process. In control quality, when your deliverable is made, here the team inspect it. Of course, using all the quality tools. Here, quality tools are used in both way. If deliverable is according to quality standard, if deliverable is according to quality standard, we call it verified deliverable. Verified deliverable. If it is according to quality, if it's not, it is rejected. We need to rework on it. Okay. Then this variable deliverable goes to validate scope process. We just discussed scope, in which client checks the deliverable according to scope baseline. And if they accept the deliverable, it is called validated or accepted, verified deliverable, validated and acceptable deliverable. Okay. So verification is basically internal checking. Validation is client checking. Clear? Put in the chat box yes or no, guys. I want to know, are you sleeping or not? 105 people are here. So I want to check, are you sleeping or not? Okay. So we discussed some tools here: check sheet, checklist, control chart, fishbone diagram, that is root cause, sampling. We also use scatter diagram, that is a co-relationship diagram. Identify the relationship between two variables. It identifies the relationship between two variables. If I change X, will have it impact on Y or not. And then we use Pareto chart to identify the most important, what are the most important 2080 principle. What are the most important thing to work onto it. So if I say that when you are doing inspection with checklist, you collect the data, you see whether the deliverable are following or not. Check sheet, you count that. Sampling, you can collect the data. Then using Pareto, you prioritize what are the key deliverable that are having problem. You identify 20 important thing. Okay. And then using root cause analysis, you identify why they are not working. With the scatter diagram, you can use correlationship, right? You can use correlate. So that's how basically you use your quality tools. One of the important thing in quality topic is journey of deliverable. Like once we have made the plan, we make deliverable in control quality. What do we get? When the team check according to quality management plan, what do we get? Put in the chat box. We get, when the team checks the deliverable according to quality management plan, what do we get? We get verified deliverables. Then the client check according to scope baseline. What do we get? Validated deliverable. Validated deliverable. Then it goes to closing. So we are left with one topic. What is risk? Risk is any uncertain thing that has yet not happened. You identify the risk before happening it, and you make a plan for it. That is the entire risk management. We have four documents in the risk topic: risk management plan, we have risk report, we have guys message in your groups that the class has started so that people can join, and we are covering this topic: issue log, and then we have risk register. Risk management plan basically talks about how the risk process will be occurring. It does not have any risk as per se in it. It talks about how the risk process will be occurring throughout the project, which what will be the definition of probability and impact, how risk will be handled in the process. It defines your risk tolerance of the organization, how much organization risk can be take, what is the threshold of the organization. Is your organization risk seeker, averse, neutral? It will talk about those things. Very critical part. It does not have any risk in it. It just defines the process, how the audit will happen, things of those nature. Risk report is your summary report of risk review meeting. Every weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, depending upon when you have that, you will have a risk review meeting. In risk review meeting, we will discuss, okay, these are the things we need to work on, etc., etc. All those things, all those things basically will be in the risk report. Risk exposure, what has happened till the previous risk meeting, what risk you can see in future. Risk. Okay, risk by itself is probability into impact. Anything you identify before happening, before happening, and you make a plan for it. If it follows these two things, you identify before happening, right? Two things. In order for something to be risk, it should follow two parts. You identify it before happening, you identify that thing before happening, and you make a plan for it. If that is the case, it goes into risk register. If something happened, or you did not have a plan for it, it goes into issue log. It goes into issue log. Issues are problem. Either you did not identify or you don't have a plan for it. It goes into issue log. Once you identify the issue, it put in the issue log. You do the root cause analysis, like why it was not identified. It and if needed, you raise a change request to handle that issue. If needed, you raise a change request to handle that patent issue. Once the change request is approved, you implement it, and then you update your issue log. Right? This is the sequence of the issue log. If the issue occur, if something occur, you don't have a plan for it. Put in the issue log, do the root cause analysis, why it was not identified before it. You raise a change request to handle it, and then you update the plan. Risk register. The same sequence we use to identify stakeholder, the same sequence we use to identify requirement, like ask interviews, asking sponsor, focus group, workshop, documents, OPAs, EF, SWOT analysis, every single thing, your past asset, whatever you can use, you will use to identify the risk, and you will put all the risk in the risk register. Once you have put the risk into risk register, we need to prioritize. To prioritize the risk, we have two processes. Qualitative risk assessment, where we'll say, let's say probability is very low, low, medium, high, very high. This can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And impact similarly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We define the probability. This will be defined in your risk management plan, right? So risk is Risk is probability into impact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This matrix is actually made in your risk management plan, so you don't have to make it yourself. Organization to organization, the matrix can be 3 by 3, 5 by 5, 7 by 7. Okay, depending upon the organization. 16, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. All those things will be there. Okay. Now you take all the risk. You have a meeting. You rank the risk. Let's say there are thousands of risks. Qualitative risk assessment, you will prioritize, okay, very high, high, medium, low. And now we'll focus on high, medium, or low, right? High, medium, low, we'll work into that and we will identify those risks. Now, we'll work into that quantitative risk assessment. Quantitative, as the name says, it will give us the number. Quantitative risk assessment will give us the number, like how many risks are occurring there, what are the things there. So quantitative risk assessment will look into that. Okay, these are the risks that could occur into us, that are the risks we need to look into that quantitatively, and we will handle those. There are various tools that we use for quantitative risk assessment. One of them is influence diagram. Put in the chat box which of these activity you feel is most risky. Which activity is most risky? Put in the chat box. Which activity do you think is most risky? F. So similarly, we just give number and we identify those risky activities. We can also use influence diagram to identify how one impact can have positive or negative impact onto that. Influence diagram, or also known as tornado diagram. Influence or tornado diagram can be used for this purpose. Once we have used that, we can actually use simulation, Monte Carlo simulation, to see what is the probability of achieving something, achieving within time or achieving within budget. Monte Carlo analysis or budget will be used. I am moving through these tools and technique quickly. Right? If anyone is not clear, we can discuss it once I'm done with this topic. Uh, Guys, you don't need to remember these tools and techniques. You just need to understand what's their purpose is there. Okay. Sensitivity analysis is tornado diagram, this one. So Monte Carlo analysis of probability distribution you can use, or we can also use expected monetary value. Risk into probability into impact. We just calculate the risk, how much risk is there. Let's say if the probability of something is 50% and the risk is a negative risk of $400, what will be expected monetary value? 400 multiplied by 0.5 minus $200. That is your expected monetary value. So now we have ranked the risk. What we have done, we made risk management plan. Then we identify risk, put them into risk register. Then we prioritize them qualitatively. Now, quantitatively, we have prioritized the risk. Now I will put response for those risks. Since risk is probability into impact, negative risk, and positive risk. First, we will have proactive response. Proactive response is basically when we take action even before the risk occurs. Avoid, when I make the probability or impact 0. That risk never happen. Change the plan. Don't do that thing. It is avoiding the risk. If I increase the probability and impact, both of them, that is exploiting. If I cannot avoid the risk, I mitigate it, decrease the probability or impact. If I cannot increase both probability and impact, I will enhance the risk. We can transfer the risk by buying insurance, or in positive, we share the risk. If risk goes beyond our tolerance, we escalate the risk. All these are proactive approach where once you identify the risk, you immediately take action. In acceptance of the risk, active acceptance used for both, we identify the risk, put in the risk register, make a plan, contingency plan, plan A, fallback plan, like we make two plans for a risk. We set a risk owner. He will look at the risk trigger. He will look at the risk trigger, and if the risk happen, he will look at the risk trigger. If risk happen, he will implement the contingency plan. Once he implement the plan, there are two possibilities. Either you get with the residual risk, the small risk that is accepted. For example, I had the tea, I tried to drink all, still some tea is left. That is accepted. Okay, residual risk. The other is secondary risk. Because of the primary response, another risk is identified. You put it into the risk register. So one more time, risk management plan, then identify the risk, then prioritize it qualitatively, quantitatively, then we make the response. For the risk responses that we accepted the risk, we implement the response, we review it and looked into that. If I mapped it into the processes, initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing. In planning, you make risk management plan, you identify risk in the risk register, you rank them, prioritize them, make plan there. You implement the risk response in execution. In monitoring and control, you do risk review meeting where risk reports are generated, right? In monitoring and control, you review that new risk are identified, we go back there and put it into that. So that's the entire planning, execution, monitoring and control. One process that is called integration is basically once you have all the plans, name all the plans that you remember that are part of the project management plan: scope, schedule, cost, quality, risk, procurement, scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline. All the plans, once you have identified all the plans, you combine all the plans. In addition to that, if you want to make any changes in the plan, you make a change management plan, how the changes will be handled. At how the changes handle in Agile, we already discussed. All the changes go to the product owner. He put them into the product backlog. He prioritized those changes by high value, high risk, and that's it. But in predictive, if the change come, the change goes to project manager in the change log. He does the impact analysis, how this impact scope, schedule, cost, quality, customer satisfaction, and then he gave the change to the change control. If the change control board approve the change, we implement the change, communicate it, and rebalance the project. That's change management plan. If something is changing the deliverable, we have a configuration management plan. That's all about this monitoring and control. Then finally, we have, once the project deliverable is accepted, we have, let's say, now there are two scenarios. Either your deliverable are accepted Either your deliverables are accepted or your deliverables are rejected. Okay. So let's say two ways, whatever the way is, deliverables, project is, let's say project is cancelled. It can be too risky. The money was you did not have the money. It's not valuable. Whatever is it, project is cancelled, or deliverables, project is completed, deliverables are accepted. It is completed. In both cases, next step is you go to sponsor. Once you give approval, start closing the project. Both ways. Start closing the project, close all procurement, whatever you can. If some procurement is open, that's not your problem. Start writing final report. You start writing final report. Guys, just for your information, I will share these document where I am writing to you in a while after that. Start writing final report. Start check benefit management plan for benefits. It is important. Up lesson learned register, update it. Gee. Project document, update and archive. Lesson learned register put into the lesson learned repository. Both lesson learned repository and project document becomes part of OPA. Share final report according to communication management plan. Release the team. Celebrate your success. This is how you close the project. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, your entire PMP that you need to know. If you have any question about anything, please feel free to ask. Thank you for the clapping, Kolvinga. I like it. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. I'm available here. And of course, if you want to join our program, every single thing that you need to become PMP that is available here. You can raise your hand, and this recording will be provided and will be placed on YouTube, so you can watch it later on, right? So this recording is already uploaded again as a part 2. Anyone has any question, feel free to ask me. Thank you very much for joining, guys. Not important, feature driven, behavior driven, and Chandra, not important. You see, you need to use Pareto on your preparation, Chandra. Focus on the things that are important. Vishal, go ahead. What's your question?
Yes, sir. I'm just having question about the change log impact analysis CCB, perform integrated change control, and direct and manage work.
What is the
Means how?
question? Vishal, you see, let me rephrase what those things are, and then we can work into that. When anyone can raise a change, the change goes to project manager in a change log. He does the impact analysis. He does the impact analysis, and then he send it to change control board. They approve the change. All this is happening in perform integrated change control process.
Okay.
And you implement the change in direct and manage work. That's it. You don't need to remember any processes, but these two are important. In direct and manage work, you implement the work. In perform integrated change control, changes are raised and they are implemented. Okay.
Okay. Before going CCB, I think one document is their change log. Okay. That
All
is
the
what I'm.
yeah, all the changes must be put in the change log so that project manager can formally do the impact analysis. The project manager cannot do the impact analysis out of thin air. Na? He need to do something there. Okay.
Fine, sir. Fine.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Nick, you would like to join my program? Sure, you have my number. And if we can have a discussion, you can join. It's starting on this Friday, guys. Thank you. Then, if you don't mind, I have 4 questions. PMO types. PMO, Mohammed, you are a one-to-one student. Na? We will have a discussion after this. Don't worry. So we have sportive, directive TMOs. We will discuss that. Thank you very much. How to manage time in PMP. They're like one of the thing that when we talk about management of PMP, you have 230 minutes. You should have done at least good amount of question on a simulator like my simulator or any timed simulator. And I do recommend go and get those simulator where you cannot stop time, because then you will be forced to sit for that time. That actually help you to manage time. I recommend using the methodology of 80, first 60 question in 80 minutes, next in 75, then 75. Okay. Configuration management plan, USRA, is the plan that handles how the product will change, version control, and things of those nature. I hope that makes sense to you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a few questions on the exam. Put in the chat box if you have few questions, Subhani. I'm reviewing all the questions. Thank you. Excellent. Okay. A project, review the following step. A project has been successfully executed. Closure, sector lesson learned. I'll share send those steps which I just showed. What part of the from this chapter is part of people? So Musa, you don't need to worry about what comes in people, process, business environment. You need to take a PMP as a whole view. As I explained it in it to it, anything can come from anywhere. Stakeholder communication, team, agile is a combination, and the question you will get in the exam will not be the question from one topic. There will be a combination of all that. Drinking a smooth wine. I never had a wine, Chandra, so I can say a Starbucks coffee. A risk has happened. Okay, if a risk has happened, if first thing we'll need to review the risk register. Do we have made a plan for it? If we had made a plan, we will implement a response. If we don't have a plan, we'll update the issue log, Musa. Adidas, how do we approach each question and time? So again, Subhani, as I was saying to another student, 80 first 60 minutes, give 80 minutes, the next 75, 75. 80, 75, 75 should be your rule. 80, 75, 75. Instead of managing each question, do that, because some questions will be long, some questions will be small. Take 60, 60 question. If you don't want to do it, divide 80 first section, 80 minutes, 60 question into 20, 20, 20. So 30 minutes for the first section, 25, 25 for the later section. In this way, you can do that. The recent feedback, I actually I put success journeys all over the YouTube. You can look at those success journeys. uh, the exam is very difficult, they are clearing it. For those pass, in last 2 months we did not had anybody fail. We had like 193 students who have passed the exam and two students could not pass. Those who could not pass, the major issue has been the exam was too difficult, they were tired or things like those. So if you are prepared, if you have done questions, if you manage time, you will pass the exam. Okay, what is the recent feedback? I have given you the answer. Thank you. Is it must to complete? No. The exam questions are basically running with the timer. After 2 hours, 30 minutes, if you don't complete the question, the time, if you don't complete even, if you don't do 5 questions in the entire time, the time will be run out. It is, I would recommend to complete all the questions. Project is in planning phase and one of the stakeholders is going to be on the leave. What should the PM do? So now first thing is that if the he's going on holidays, we need to look at the charter and plan that what are his responsibility, so that we can share his responsibility with him. If it is an initiation phase, we need to review the charter. If it's in planning phase, we need to review charter and plan and communicate with him. Okay, these things you have missed, Ankur. Organize meeting with the sponsor, evaluate. No, had a meeting with him, talk to him what things are there. Ankur, what you are saying? Science. I cannot read that thing. You have taken screen. Is there? No, so far exam is not going to be updated. There is no news from PMI. I'm PMI ETC, so exam is not going to update in the recent past. What resource? I recommend Akil, my material is more than enough. If you want to read book, this book Pathway to PMP, this is available at Amazon. You can buy it from Saudi, Pakistan, all over the world. This book for those who want to read book. I don't in my programs you don't have to read any book, but those people who want to read book, this book Pathway to PMP, the cheapest book, and it gets every single thing. I have written it in a way that it covers every single thing that you need for exam. Straightforward. No bullshit, Akhil. Yes, I have a simulator. You can buy that simulator, Chandra, on my website. It's $99. 70 participants. So how we will calculate the communication channel? N into N minus 1 by 2. That is the formula. So 70 people are there. 70 into 70 minus 1, 69 divided by 2. N into N minus 1 by 2. Gee, anyone else? Any question? I told you, you ask question, I am available. Could you explain project management triangle? So project management talent triangle is not the part of a PMP exam. You don't need to get worried about it. It considers about the PDUs, how the PDUs should be learned. So I highly recommend let's focus Mohammed on the PMP exam part. What will be covered in the PMP exam part? However, it is leadership. What are the skills we need to know about the leadership, technical skills, and business documents? What are the business documents are there that we need to look into that? Okay. My number is on it, already written here. +1 848 338 0545. And my email, I'll also write my email for you. Okay, I'll put it this. Okay, I'll write it easy for you. Mhm. This is my number and this is my email address for those people who does not have it. I'm in US. It's a US number. Both numbers are available on WhatsApp and direct call. Yes. Okay, what else we have here? I have seen some question in the mock. Okay. But when you did mock, how to mitigate critical path activities? You will not get question on the critical path in the exam. However, when you want to mitigate, we need to analyze the schedule. What activities are critical? What are the risks then? That's why we have contingency reserves there to handle those things. Yeah, you can buy that book also in PDF form. Yeah, the price that is shown on the website, $19, is actually PDF format. So you can buy the PDF format. Just send me the message. I have bought the PDF format. I'll send you the PDF copies money. Okay. Please post your number and email again. I put it the number and email on screen. I hope you got the number now. Thank you, Musa. Thank you very much. Once again, good night.
Hi, Amer.
It's morning for me. Okay, this could be
Hi.
very guys, just let me read that.
Okay.
This could be very naive question. For every plan, we have to go to sponsor. Yes, for every plan, you need to raise the change request. We have to go. What do they look for in order to get the approval? We do the impact analysis, Bilal. We looked into that, how this is impacting each change, how they are impacting other things. Scope, how impacting change in scope, impacting schedule, cost, quality, risk, and those things, how they are being impacted. So that's the rejection criteria. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, who was asking a question?
Hi, Amer. First of all, thank you for the session.
Who
So
is
it's
asking the question? Can you please
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So I'll be very quick. So in between the time where you were managing about the Agile and Scrum, so you were mentioning about the zero sprint.
Hmm.
So I recently have gone through the Scrum certifications and recently have gone through the. I don't. Although I don't want to put a question mark on that, but still there was nothing mentioned like zero sprint. How it works like? Is
Yeah.
it something different?
Mm,
I want to have.
Scrum have their own ways what they want to teach, and PMI have their own ways. If you want to read a book about Agile, I would recommend go for a Agile guide by PMI. If you're a PMI member, you will be able to download that, and I'm sure architectural spike is mentioned there. And plus, it is mentioned in the PMI authorized training material. Basically, and even in the projects, we do architectural spike. Architectural spike is basically time you spend aside to handle the proof of concept, that is it even possible to do that thing or right? Is it even possible to do that thing or not? Architecture, the purpose, even we do in that analysis, we do CFD ratios in mechanical and electrical engineering to look into that the design is possible or not. So that is the purpose of sprint zero or architecture spike, to actually work into that. When you read Scrum guide, they directly go with the risk spike. They say that all the risks are identified there, but then they also say that fail fast, right? That is one of the concept of of Agile and Scrum, fail fast. When we do architectural spike, we immediately identify, okay, can we do something or we cannot do that. The project need to be cancelled. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Sure. Gee, anyone else has any question? Thank you very much, guys. And if anyone want to join, you have my number. You have my email, and I wish you best of luck. And it was great. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I wish you best of luck. Bye bye.